First of all, welcome back. It's great to be back at Canadian Tire. I know some of you were here for rookie tournament. I think it's been over 500 days. It'll be close to when our fans get to be here in the media. We're very happy, even though we still got to wear masks most of the time. We're very happy that our fans will be able to partake in our games and watch our games live. And as far as the media, Chris Moore told me it was nice to see all of you. I'll say for most of you, it's nice to see you. I'm just kidding. Questions?
Okay, Gord. Pierre, it's an odd question to start, but with COVID in mind here, are you able to give us numbers on players' vaccinations?
Everyone's vaccinated. Everyone in the Ottawa Senators organization, as far as I know. Players, staff, players in Belleville, players on AHL contracts, everyone is vaccinated.
54 players ready to go then starting tomorrow?
No. Angus Crookshank has a most likely, where he's seeing the doctor on Friday. The swelling had to go down. Most likely MCL and ACL. 4 to 6 months. That means there's still a chance he could play at the end of the year. And it's disappointing because this player did everything we asked of him last year, was having a very good rookie camp, was noticeable, was going to play in exhibition games. And it was a fluky thing. Everyone that was there, I don't think it was, I think it was an accident. And, he'll be out. Also, Josh Brown was just sick this morning. We did COVID. He's negative. Or he wasn't feeling well yesterday, was sick this morning. We did COVID yesterday, a COVID test. He might miss a day tomorrow, might be here, but it's nothing of alarming rate. We know he's negative, so he's double vaccinated, but, we know what can happen. So I think those are the only two that are listed. We've brought in Vincent Sivigny from Victoriaville. Because we got 3 teams, we'd like every team, DJ would like every team to have 6 defensemen, so he'll be added to our training camp list.
Kyle, on your right.
Hey, Darryl, just asked him a couple weeks ago, you said you were confident that Brady would be signed in time for training camp. I'm just wondering what your feeling is here today as we get things going and one of your important players isn't here again.
Yeah, no, but obviously we know that Brady is a huge part of this team, huge part of this franchise. Been through a lot of these negotiations. They're moving forward. We've discussed every day. We know Brady will be signed, and I don't think it's for us to talk more than what we're saying right now. You want me to give you my line? We don't negotiate through the media.
An older but a goodie. Wayne on your left there, Pierre.
Yeah, just welcome back to you guys.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe for both of you, just talk a little bit about what you're going to be looking for from training camp.
I'll just speak quickly, and then I think DJ is the most important one here. I think we want this team to look a lot like the team that we had in the second half. I think we want to be a team that is very difficult to play against. We want to be a team that challenges for 2 points every night, that we're not scared to play any team. And I think we saw a lot of that in the second half. And I think with the real good coaching that DJ brings, we have a lot of elements in place. I think we have the talent in place right now. It's young. We definitely have the coaching in place. If I can repeat what I said earlier, to me, the most important thing we did over the summer months was extending DJ. He showed that he developed these young players. He's ready to bring this group of players to the next level. And the only thing that we have to be careful is that we still have a very young core. And this team still has got to learn how to win nights that they're not supposed to win. And it's a process. But I know this team is in great hands with DJ.
Yeah, I guess so far as what we're looking for in training camp, there's a few spots available. I think you can look at that and see where they are. The most competitive people will be here. I think since day one, the biggest thing we've preached is conditioning and give the guys credit. Every year they've gotten better shape. Our skate test that we do is significantly better than it was 2 years ago, a lot better than it was a year ago. Obviously, training being one of them is that guys were able to train normally again. We're a much faster team, and guys have bought into that. But the other thing is a competitive element. The best teams in the National Hockey League are the most competitive. And if you want to make the Ottawa Senators, every year it's going to get harder and harder because these young players that are continuing to develop are taking spots, and we plan on these guys being here, 8-10 years. And, every year there's going to be less and less spots. This is one of the last year where I believe there's going to be a few spots, up front, that is, at this point. And, Pierre and his staff are going to continue looking outside to see what's there throughout training camp. But if players on the inside do the job, they'll be the guys that'll start in the lineup.
We'll go to Bruce Garrett up on your left there, gents.
I just have a couple questions for both of you. Starting with you, Pierre, where do you kind of see the best battles in camp?
That's a good one, Bruce. I didn't even think about that question. Best battles in camp? For defense and goalies. One thing I don't like giving out specific names, Bruce, but I think, we lost some goals, so we'll be looking for some offense. I think with the way DJ's teams play, you got to skate and you got to play hard. So I think there could be spots, whether it's on the third or fourth line, but there could be spots on the top two lines because we did lose some goals last year. At the same time, we've brought in some additions on defense that I think will stabilize our defense. And I don't want to speak for DJ. He'll talk to you about goalies. He loves talking about goalies.
I see the most competitive part of camp being outside of guys trying to make it, the guys that are already here fighting for what role they're going to have on the team and how many minutes they're going to play. And I think that's a sign of a team that's getting better. Where 2 years ago, when you look at the guys that we had, it was clear who the best players were, and it clear, who the guys that weren't ever going to move up per se, or were in the end of their career, what have you. Now, you look at a guy like Formanton, for example, that finished real strong for us. He's starting, at the end of the day, on a third, fourth line role. Could he by the end, climb himself up the roster? Guys are going to move all around. The most competitive guys are going to, get the most ice time. And I think there's a whole bunch of guys in that mix. We don't have Sidney Crosby and these guys that are for sure this particular player. Any given night, anyone could be our best player. And my job's to find the guy that's that best player. And so I think back to your question, the most competitive thing at camp is going to be the guys I think that we know are all going to be here. It's just where they're going to fit in the puzzle.
And speaking of the puzzle, without Brady or DJ, who do you start on that left side? Batterson and Norris, at least to start and have a look at?
Well, Nick Paul's going to start there tomorrow. But, I have full confidence that Brady's going to be here at some point. So, Nick Paul could play anywhere from first line left wing to fourth line left wing to fourth line right wing to first line center. So Nick is the easy guy to put there because it's not going to affect his game. Wherever I put Nick, it's never going to affect him. He can always go back and play left wing wherever he's playing. If I put someone else there, it may affect where I expected them originally to start or affect their role on the team. If we got to the point where Brady wasn't here, then we'd probably look at some different options. And we'll see how camp plays out. But I put Nick there for the sole purpose. One, he's good enough. Two, it'll never affect his game.
Donc, comme j'ai dit en anglais, j'étais à travers beaucoup de ces négociations ici. On parle constamment. On sait que ces négociations sont en train de se faire en ce moment. Puis on sait qu'on va signer Brady. Puis je pense pas qu'il y ait plus à dire que ça, que ma ligne que j'aime utiliser, qu'on ne va pas négocier à travers des médias. Je pense qu'il n'y en a pas plus à dire.
We'll go to Mark Bouchard on the left.
Have you addressed team well with the absence of one of the leaders?
No, no. They're smart guys. These are smart guys that know what's going on. They know what negotiations are about. These guys, training camp, is much about the team, but it's also about getting yourself ready. And they have a job to do, and they got to get themselves ready. And it's much like having an injured player. If someone's injured, someone takes the guy's spot. It's unfortunate. You move on, and we got to prepare with the guys that are here. And that's exactly what we're going to do.
Now, what are your numbers here on the right?
A couple questions for you guys. Pierre, I'll start with you.
Yeah.
I know that a couple weeks ago when you signed your contract, you said you're ready to move to the next phase of the rebuild. Fair to put playoff expectations on this group for this?
Well, for us, it alludes to what I was talking about earlier. I think we're at a stage where, for us, I think the rebuild is over. I don't want to hear the word anymore. We're moving on. This team has to take a big step. I think we have a lot of good young talent. We're still a young team. You look, I think we'll be one of the youngest teams again in the NHL this year. Young teams need to learn how to win. I think the real good teams learn all the time, and we want to be that good team that's there, like as DJ said before, which was a great line. We want to be like a good team for the next 10 years. Like when we drop the puck opening night for the next 10 years, we want to know we're a playoff team, and we're pushing, and we're getting better all the time. So for us right now, it's let's build upon how we finished last year. Let's build upon, I think we're 10-3-1 at the end. We're beating teams that were competing for the playoffs, teams that were in the playoffs. And I think that's the step we have to take this year, is that we don't fear a team. We can go and play against any team. We can play their type of game. We can play our type of game and still come out with 2 points.
One other one for you.
Yeah, please.
Would you say that you're still active in terms of shopping for more?
Yes. Yeah. I'm not even going to. Yes. I always want to make this team better. I always want to make this team thrive, put people in roles where I know DJ can coach them, where they can excel. And that's one of the reasons we brought Tyler Ennis. Like, Tyler Ennis was a real good player for us. I think he had 14 goals and 19 points in 60 games before we traded him. And we wanted to see, obviously he suffered an injury in that playoff when he was with us. We wanted to see if it's the same player, and he wants to prove himself too. So that's one thing we looked at, but we're always looking. We know that we've lost some goals this year. So whether it's adding goals or adding top-end veteran checkers that can, maybe we'll have to win games 2-1 this year instead of winning them 4-3. But it's still about winning, playing the right way, and DJ preaches that. I don't know Tyler Toffoli too well. I think that's the nicest compliment any player can give DJ. As far as how we played last year and how teams had to come in here and they had to earn their 2 points, especially in the second half. I don't know if I should ever be complimenting a Montreal Canadiens player, but that says a lot about how his teams are coached.
I've got two for DJ, if that's okay. First, I would ask you, is it fair to characterize the number two, the audition for the number two player job as like an open audition right now?
It's fair. I think Chris Tierney right now is going to, he's going to start training camp in that spot. And the best player is going to play there. And the player that can help us win the most is going to play there. And, if you're calling Nick Paul a third line, essentially left winger, if that's what he is, any given night he could be the best player and that could be the best line. So ultimately it's whoever's going to give us the best chance of winning. We think Chris has the most experience, obviously, of the group. He's come back in he was an injury-free summer. He was injured the summer before, so he was able to train. He's come back in much better shape. So we'll see how he looks. We know that Whitey finished really well in the second half last year, and he'll get looks. And then, we don't want to put too much on a guy like Shane Pinto's plate. He played 12 games at the end of the year, but coming back in your second year, training camp, exhibition games will dictate whether, he belongs at the National Hockey League level. And then you've had other players, Logan Brown, that has his opportunity to prove that he's an NHL player. So it is fair to say that that's wide open. The best player will get that job.
And my other question would be, where do you see Eric Brandstrom fitting in? Just because it feels like it's a pretty crowded back end. Ideally for you, where does Eric Brandstrom?
Well, certainly he has to perform in training camp and exhibition. I think the good part of getting better is the tough competitions that's out there. There's no jobs given to anybody. The best players get to play. When you're in a complete rebuild, where, a lot of times you just slot a young guy in there, maybe at the end of the year and see how he does. We're done doing that. So the best players, the best 60 are going to play on night one, and the best 60 will play the next night. And if he's one of those guys, he'll be playing.
We'll stay on the right here with Brady Cam.
Kurt here. You got notification about having a taxi squad?
No, internally, we've talked about it. Obviously, I saw Bill Daly's comments about it. We're ready. We've planned ahead if that's a possible scenario. We'll be ready. Whatever scenario is thrown at us, even if there's a taxi squad, I don't know what will happen. I don't really like to deal in hypotheticals, but the one about the goalies, maybe having a goalie as a third goalie is something that we've discussed internally.
Stay on the right here with Kyle.
For DJ, I know you guys talked about how last month and so over the summer, so for a guy like Igor Sokolov, I know this organization's benefited from taking the slower approach to development, but what's your feeling around there? Like, please watch him.
I'm really excited after watching him in rookie camp again. I'll give the credit to Pierre and Trent Mann and their staff that continues to bring in guys. And I'll say a guy like Ostapchuk that I had not seen that came out and really played well as well. Just continues to be an abundance of good young players. One thing that the organization has done really well, certainly since I've been here, is not rush anyone. Drake Batherson, for example. A lot of teams may have just brought him up and put him in that situation. What they did with him is keep him down there until he was ready, and brought him up a couple times. Pierre came to me, maybe it's time to have a look at him, and then sent him back down. And if you look at a team maybe like the LA Kings used to do that stuff like that with Tyler Toffoli and these guys, and eventually now Drake's ready and is a full-time NHL player. We're going to give him every opportunity to make the team. You never say no. But at the end of the day, this is about having a team that's good for 10 years. And what makes Igor Sokolov the best player? And we're not going to be short-sighted in the fact that, he might help us win the first 5 games. What's going to make this kid an 8-year power forward for the Ottawa Senators? And I believe Pierre and his staff have continued to do the right thing. And I believe we'll probably, we'll see how he looks, but we'll do the right thing for the organization.
Stay on the right here with Dan Sagan.
This is for Pierre, and without negotiating through the media, but fans really want to know about Brady, obviously. Can you categorize the negotiations? Have they been amicable, productive? I mean, you see Kaprizov is getting signed in Dublin today.
Mm-hmm.
Could you say that it's close, or is there still some work to be done?
Productive and positive, but still work to be done.
Go back to Bruce on the left.
Pierre, I talked to DJ about this in the summer, but have you given any thought of naming a captain this year? Or?
Yeah, I think we're coming at a crossroads. At some point in time, we're going to have to name a captain. I think everyone knows. I think the 3 people that are most involved are obviously Mr. Melnick, DJ, and myself. But I think our focus right now is to get through camp. Let's see how camp goes. Maybe even get through the first half of the season. Well, let's not. Some people, I think, diminish the fact of the importance of captain. Some people maybe overvalue. For us, it's something important. You represent the Ottawa Senators. You represent Ottawa Senators in your community. You're the face of the players. Everyone knows this team is about the players. So we're just going to focus on camp right now, see how camp goes, see how, the young players are taking a big step. And we all know it's between 2 guys. We'll leave it at that.
We'll wrap up in English with Matt Kidcombe.
This question for you, DJ. Your open night roster last season was solely based on training. I want to talk about this year's 7 preseason games. Just how crucial is ground?
Well, it's crucial to get it right. Admittedly, when you look at the second half, how many mistakes do you make? And all coaches make mistakes. And how many mistakes did we make? You know, Zub is a major one. Without exhibition, just watching him play against his teammates, it was hard to tell that he was this good of a player. And that's a mistake, you know. And these exhibition games will allow us to lessen the chances of making mistakes. We all make mistakes. But it's going to allow us to put us guys in spots and give us the best possible information to help us make the best decision. And after 7 games, I believe we'll have the best lineup in there.
We'll go to Sylvain in French.
I have a question for DJ. Can you answer in French?
You can say it in French. I'll answer it in English. See how I do.
Well, I'll just start in English.
All right. Yeah, we'll keep it simple then.
Jack referred a few times that he wants his team to play like it did in the last, part of the last season. What did your players have to learn in the second part of the season, or in the first part, to become that team that played last year?
Well, you can't lose the game in the first 6 minutes, and that happened on a lot of nights in that first half. We struggled to get to the first TV timeout a lot of nights. We were down 1, down 2. And a lot of that came with goaltending. I mean, our goaltending was significantly better in the second half. And, as a young team, sometimes your goalie has to hold you for a period on the road and keep you in the game, for guys to get going. And to be honest, in the second half, we just had the puck a lot more than we did in the first half. We weren't hanging on. We weren't as nervous. Some of that is because, you're young and it's the end of the year and you're not nervous. So to start the year, we have to mimic that. We have to play like that in exhibition. We can't give the puck away. We want to have the puck a lot. And when we do, when the other team has it, we're going to be as hard and as fast as possible to get it back. And I just think we had confidence among each other. Some of these young kids were having fun. At the end of the day, hockey's still fun. And sometimes you lose sight of that when you come back to training camp and you see all the media and you see all the coverage and everything, and you get a little too built up in your head. At the end of the day, hockey's hockey, no matter what the age is. If you're not having fun, you're not going to perform.
I think that your team has quite a not being relentlessness to not giving up, and it was true leadership to some extent, of course, outside of Brady Tkachuk. Can this team keep on progressing in the same rate right now if the captain is not there or the leader is not there? And does it change the way you coach it? This team ultimately, worst case scenario, if Brady's not there.
Well, certainly we're not the same team without Brady. I mean, everyone knows that. But we believe he's going to be here, so I'm not thinking that way. I think people know I'm a really positive thinker, and I believe Seven will be on the ice. But in saying that, I think Pierre has done a really good job continuously getting me players that are really competitive. And I say it over and over. There's guys in the league, and there's really good players, and there's a different level of compete. And the players that continue to win and continue to be in the playoffs, and I always bring up the Boston Bruins, are the Bergerons and these guys, they're ultimate competitors. And I think now when I look around that room, everyone is competitive. Some more than others, but if someone's not there, particularly one of the most competitive guys maybe in the league, we have other guys that are really competitive. And I don't know if you could say that 3 years ago, when it was filled with, some older guys that we knew were going to leave at the end of the year and guys that were retiring and guys that were call-ups. That competitive level wasn't there. If you just watch us practice on a daily basis, they're having fun, they like it, but they're competitive. And they know that's what they're rewarded for. They're having fun working. So if one particular guy ain't there, it isn't going to bother the rest of the group. We're going to go out and likely, it's going to happen a few times this year, and I won't be happy about it, but there's not going to be a lot of nights we get outworked.
100%. He beat DJ at golf a few times through this summer.
Yeah, Austin, you know what? He's jumping around the room. He's complete energy for our guys. 82 games, you need to provide energy, and he does that. He's ultimate selfless player. We see block shots with his face. Does anything for the team. He's willing to do anything. But it's what he brings in the dressing room on a daily basis. He's never out of energy, and you need people with energy in this league.
People I hope I'm not out of line here, DJ, but I never realized how good of a leader Austin Watson is and what he's ready to do as the ultimate team guy. And we have a lot of those guys. Zaitsev's like that. I think he's one of the hardest practicers. Watching from the stands, he never takes a practice off. Sometimes I think you got to remind him not to cross-check teammates because he battles so hard. You know, you got a guy like Connor Brown, Nick Paul, we call him the disciple. He does everything the right way, practices hard, always shows up in the top shape. You know, so we got a lot of leaders on this team, a lot of good character people. And just talking about Austin Watson, I never realized how good of a leader he is.
We'll wrap up with Mark.
Deux questions en français.
Ouais, vas-y.
La première, à quel point tu es confiant que Matt Murray va remonter
Énormément confiant. Puis j'aimerais ça que DJ en parle par la suite en anglais, où je peux le traduire. Matt a mis beaucoup de temps et d'efforts cette année. Il a pris au moins une dizaine de livres. Je ne sais pas exactement le chiffre, là. Il a travaillé beaucoup son conditionnement, sa force physique, sur sa technique au cours de l'été. Donc, on est énormément confiant qu'il rebondisse. Just going to translate in English. Mark asked if we were confident that Matt was going to bounce back. And I didn't say this part in French, but if you look at Matt's stats after we made the goaltending change, they're outstanding. And Matt put in the work this summer. I think he put on about 10 pounds of strength, good strength. Really worked hard with, to work on his conditioning, his technique, everything. He's really committed to this team. I think last year, coming to a new team, first time he'd been traded and all that. And, you know, when you look at how he played, I think in the second half, he was a big part of the reasons why we were such a good team. A lot of faith in Matt Murray this year. I don't know if you want to elaborate.
Well, you know what? I was about to say my French is getting significantly better. I understood the question, and I understood the answer completely. So I'm coming around. But, yeah, that's you know what? It's all true. Zach, when he came in, wanted him to get stronger, and he did. Wanted him to put the work in, and he did. And he feels really confident that he's in a really good headspace to be the goalie that we brought him in to be. No, he lives. He did for quite a bit of time after, and then he goes to the Muskoka area and then comes back. But Zach went down there to see him. Worked with him. Goalies. I don't get involved with the goalies. I don't. I say all the time. I really don't know. I just want you to keep it out. Hasek didn't look like he had the best form, and he just never scored on him. So I don't care what you do. Just make sure he's ready and he can stop the puck.
All right, thank you very much, gentlemen.
L'autre question, c'était c'est assez difficile de négocier avec un agent dans une situation comme avec Brady. Le fait que la famille soit impliquée aussi, c'est ça rend ça plus compliqué.
Je ne vais pas négocier à travers les médias, mais je parle aux agents. Donc, I'll answer that one in English. He said, Mark asked the question, is it difficult negotiating with the family if they're involved? I just negotiate with Craig Oster and Don Meehan. Not negotiating through the media.